Hello everyone, this is Griffin Station back here with another Jump Force video, and in this video we are doing characters people want for Jump Force Character Pass or Season 2, whatever you want to call it. Now, before I get into this video, this is going to be different from my other characters people want for a couple of reasons. One, obviously it's not based on a singular series, so it's not going to be characters from one series, it's going to be from a vast array of series. Secondly, a lot of you didn't listen to what I specifically asked for, and I asked for 5 characters. A lot of you listed a lot more than 5 characters. So I did actually count every character you listed, unless you specified that you had a top 5, and then after others were characters that you would like to see, like honorable mentions. So I didn't include the honorable mentions because you actually followed the top 5, and I wanted a list of the specific top 5. But if you listed more than 5 and you didn't specify your ranking of the characters, I couldn't discern which characters you wanted or not, so I did end up counting all the characters that you listed. I know that's a little bit unfair, but I did want to include everyone's characters that they listed in their comments. Now, also, because I got a lot more comments than I was expecting in this series, I usually get about 10 to 20 comments of characters that people wanted, and after I'd be able to show them on screen and show you all what they had to say, read them out loud, and after talk about the characters that they posted in their comments. But in this video, I can't realistically do that. As I said, I got about 100 comments on this, and doing 100 comments, reading out each person's list, in the vast array of series and the vast array of characters, there's a bunch of series and a bunch of characters that were posted in the previous video's comment section. It's just not realistically feasible for me to go through every single comment and post it on screen. And I don't want to play favorites, I don't want to specifically accidentally leave anyone out, because there could be a chance that I could just miss a comment. So instead, I just tallied up all of the characters that everyone asked for in the comment section, and then after, I am going to use those numbers to inform you the top 10 characters that people asked for in that comment section. Now, I do have to mention that there will be actually 11 characters that people that I'm going to be posting that people asked for in the comment section, because the last 4 characters, the bottom 4 characters anyways, on my list were a tie, and there was no real way to really break this up without just doing either 9 characters or 11 characters, and I wanted to do 10, so that's why we're doing 11. So with that said, we're doing the characters with positions of number 10 and number 11. And these are tied with Todoroki from My Hero Academia and Noelle from Black Clover. Now, both of these characters I feel are pretty important to the overall story of both My Hero Academia and Black Clover. But let's talk about Todoroki first. So Todoroki is from My Hero Academia, and I feel as though Todoroki would be really cool to see in this game, because he has both the combination of ice and fire. I think just graphically it would look really cool in Jump Force. I mean, we already see sort of explosions. It's not really fire, but explosions with Bakugo. We see fire with Sabo, and we've seen ice with characters like Glenna and also with Rukia. So I feel as though, and of course Hitsugaya. So with these in mind, and the combination of the two just being used in well, they wouldn't necessarily be used in tandem, but I feel as though both of these used in tandem together in one moveset would look really great in the graphical style that we have. And then after, of course, Noelle. Noelle is such an interesting character, but also power-wise, she would look really great in this game, because we don't have, as far as I can tell, we don't have any water users in Jump Force. That's still a thing, and so I feel as though just being able to actually use her, and now we have her official, Valkyrie armor, which has debuted in the anime, so I would love to see that make it in to Jump Force. I know last year I was talking about Noelle, and I was like, I really want Noelle to be in this game, but I don't necessarily want them to include her, because then they would only do stuff that was been in anime. But now that the Valkyrie armor is in the anime and not only in the manga, I feel as though that would be a really cool awakening for them to include for Noelle in the game. We then go on to the next two characters, which are tied for the 8th and 9th spot on this list. And that is Alan from D. Gray Man and Yami from Black Clover. Let's talk about Yami for a second because I need to clarify something. So there is another very popular character that unfortunately didn't make it into this top 11 list, which is Yami from To Love Ru, and also is the main character of To Love Ru Darkness. So I had to discern whether some people were talking about Yami from Black Clover and Yami from To Love Ru. Now, if somebody mentioned Yuno in their comment, I just assumed that they were talking about Yami from Black Clover as well. There were other people that I'm very thankful for, that specified whether they wanted Yami from To Love Ru or Yami from Black Clover, but after there were some other comments that just didn't specify, so I had to discern from their other picks whether they were asking for Yami from To Love Ru or Yami from Black Clover, and Yami from Black Clover did get a lot of votes. So I am including Yami as tied with Alan Walker from D. Gray Man. And so, speaking of Yami first, Yami, I guess, would be a little bit similar to, in graphical style anyways, would be similar to Blackbeard just because they both use darkness. But I feel as though Yami would be really cool just because it's not only like Blackbeard, but it would also be infusing it with the sword style. And so I feel as though that would be really fun. Yami is also just a fan favorite of Black Clover series, so I feel as though Yami would be a pretty easy pick to choose. He would sort of be like the All Might equivalent for My Hero Academia to include from Black Clover. We then also get D. Gray Man's Alan Walker, which Alan Walker, first off, I need to say he's one of the characters that I want from the 5 characters that I asked for characters people want. He is one of those characters. And so with Alan, I feel as though he's just a really good main character. It's bringing in a new series, and this is the first new series that we actually have listed on my top 11. Well, it's not my top 11, it's my community's top 11, and I feel as though would be a really good pick. I feel as though he got really gypped in J-Stars, and after just not including him in Jump Force is a little bit of a mystery. I mean, I know D. Gray Man's not currently running in Weekly Shonen Jump, and it's also very sporadic when it actually releases a new chapter, and so that could be an influence as to why it wasn't included into Jump Force. But I feel as though D. Gray Man as a legacy and is very popular, at least in Japan, and so I would like to see inclusion of D. Gray Man. In terms of Alan, I would love to see Lena Lee. Lena Lee is unfortunately not in this top 11. There are a lot of characters that didn't make this top 11 that I feel as though are also desperately wanted by the community, but Alan definitely is one of those main characters from another series that isn't in Jump Force that would be great to see in Jump Force Season 2. Next, we have in our number 7 spot, we have from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, not Part 3, but Part 5, the main character, Giorno. Now, Giorno is, as I said, the main character of Part 5, the most recent anime adaptation for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I feel as though this would make a lot of sense, although Part 5 is now ended, and so I feel as though they sort of missed that marketing time window for Giorno. I feel as though it would work better, let's say, for Part 6, if they're going to include a Jolene, but in terms of fandom, Giorno definitely, and his theme, if they could somehow include his theme into Jump Force, that would be it, because I would love to hear that. But, talking about Giorno specifically, his Golden Requiem, I feel as though Giorno would be such an interesting character to include. It would be a bit hard to do in terms of the character creation and the moves that you can adapt onto the characters, because as we've seen with Dio and Jotaro, they don't have moves selectable for the created character. And so Giorno would be a bit tricky because so far all the characters that we got, all their moves are available on the created character. So, with Giorno, I don't know how they make that work if they just switch up the situation entirely, because, you know, he has a stand. So, I would be curious to see how they would implement Giorno into the game, especially when it comes to the create a character. We then get into our 6th spot. This is a hugely popular series just in the last year, and this is Tanjiro from Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. Now, this would be very interesting because, I mean, he doesn't technically use water, it just makes the sword look like water when he strikes, but I feel as though his water breathing would be really cool, and also, as I said with Noelle, we don't have any water users in this game. I feel like water would look really cool, but not only that, I don't know how they would exactly adapt the graphical style from the anime, because I assume they would use the anime, but even in the manga it looks very stylized, the water looks very stylized, even the fire that he uses, and I mean, I guess that's a spoiler, but I mean, the season's been out, his fire breathing as well, I feel as though it would look they would try to make it look closer to the anime, but still add a realistic touch, and I feel as though that would look really visually dynamic and interesting if they included Tanjiro into this game. I feel as though it would just be so... I can't even imagine how it would look like, but I would love to see their attempt to adapt it for a realistic setting, but also have that very stylized way that I feel really drew a lot of people into the Demon Slayer series, because that art style is very unique, especially for the techniques that Tanjiro uses. So I'd love to see how they adapt that into the game, and Tanjiro is at our number 6 spot. For our number 5, we have a new series, and this is another character that I would have commented, and this is Gintoki. So, as far as Gintoki goes, probably one of the biggest series in Weekly Shonen Jump that just wasn't included into Jump Force. And as I said before the launch of Jump Force, I was thinking, you know what, maybe they won't do Gintoki just because he is a little bit, too not serious. And I know Gintama has a lot of serious arcs, but in terms of the character itself, you can't do a lot of the jokey stuff, I feel anyways. Well, at least that's what I thought before launch. Now I definitely think they could have just implemented Gintoki. I don't see why they couldn't have. It would have been really fun, actually, to have Gintoki in there. It would have added some levity to the story. I mean, there was already some levity to the story, but I feel as though it would just add more fun. Of course, he probably wouldn't have been voiced because half the cast wasn't voiced in Jump Force. But I feel as though Gintoki would have just been a fun addition. And I feel as though he does actually fit the tone now in terms of the type of game that it is. It's still trying to be this ultra serious game, but I feel as though as far as the game in terms of post-launch, we've gotten like Majin Buu. I feel like Gintoki could easily just slide in there on a scooter and be a fun character, especially in a season 2. You can sort of disregard some of the tones that they tried to shoehorn into Jump Force and just have a blast, and I feel as though Gintoki would be a great character to make that happen. We then have in our number 4 spot probably one of the most requested characters I've ever seen, and this is from a returning series, and this is Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho. I am utterly shocked that Hiei wasn't included over Toguro. At least that was my preference. I would have preferred Hiei over Toguro, but I guess they needed more villains, although Kaguya was sort of wasted in the story, so like I don't know what went into the choice process for this, but I think Hiei was the more fan-requested character over Toguro, but who knows, I'm not the one that makes the decisions. But in terms of Season 2, I think Hiei is basically a lock. I think Hiei makes a lot of sense, he's just a super cool character. I know a lot of fans love him, and it would just, I definitely think it would really drive up sales if they included Hiei. He's probably the most fan-requested character from a series that's already in the game, and I would be utterly shocked if Hiei is not in Season 2 of Jump Force, if they do returning series for characters in Jump Force Season 2. If they do all new series, which I'll get into in another video, but if they do all new series, then obviously Hiei wouldn't be in it, but I do think Hiei is a pretty safe choice and a pretty big lock for Jump Force Season 2. We then have our number 3 spot, another Black Clover character. This is the 3rd Black Clover character in this list, and this is Yuno. I was surprised that Yuno made it this high on this list, honestly, because to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Yuno, but I do think his powers would be really cool in this game. He uses a lot of wind powers. I mean, it's sort of similar to Galena because she has like the tornadoes, but you know, that's surrounded with like the red cubes and whatever, what have you. So I feel as though having strictly wind, and I know we also have Naruto, but he doesn't really use wind in this game. So having a strict wind user, wind mage in this game would be really fun to use. You could say that it could be a little bit hard to like adapt into a real life setting, but I feel as though it would be fine regardless. And Yuno obviously also has his, form that I was a little bit dubious about actually including if he was included in Season 1 or in the base game. But now that he's actually going to be, well, he's not actually going to be in Season 2, I don't know that. But the amount of fan outcry, at least in my comments section for Yuno, I was really surprised at. Makes me think that Yuno will be included in Season 2 and is a pretty safe bet along with Hiei. Because Black Clover is also a really big series, and Yuno is, the main rival to Asta. And the fact that we don't have any other characters from Black Clover other than Asta, it makes me think that, maybe they'll do it soon because it's currently an ongoing series. The manga's currently ongoing. It's doing pretty well, so I don't see why they wouldn't do another Black Clover character. Next on my list, this is probably one of the most, as I said with Hiei, one of the most requested characters I have ever seen for Jump Force. This was before launch, after launch, for Season 1, and then now for Season 2. This outcry has not really died down. And I put this character on my list as well, if I were to comment, and I'll list my comment, what it would be after this video. And that is Suna from Katekyo Hitman Reborn. Now, Suna, I feel as though should be in this game. The series sold pretty well, and ultimately there's a lot of, I feel, nostalgia. Out of all the characters mentioned on Twitter, I feel as though Suna, I mean, he might be the biggest meme character for Jump Force just because of how much, like, the sooner or later, but I feel as though Suna would just work really well in this game. He works really well just in a fighting game dynamic regardless. And as far as the fandom, I mean, there's a lot of nostalgia coming from Katekyo Hitman Reborn now because it is about a decade old, and so I feel as though now is the right time to bring him back, especially for the Japanese fans. I know it didn't really take off in other countries, mainly because it didn't really get a dub, it didn't get localizations too much, so I feel as though now would be a good time to bring Suna back. And just include him, appease the fans that are crying on Twitter, appease me. I really like Katekyo Hitman Reborn, and I'd like to see Suna, so, and he's one of the 5 characters that I wanted for Season 2. But for my number 1 spot, and I swear I did not rig this, the number 1 spot by a large margin is Medaka. And I don't know how this happened. I thought Medaka would have been like 5 or 6. I definitely thought she'd be under Tanjiro. I thought that she'd be under Suna. I thought she'd be under Hiei. But nope. She is at the top of this list. And I am utterly shocked. Now, if you followed my channel for a really long time, you can even see with the end credit thing on my video, even the opening thing on my video, you can go onto my banner on my channel. Everything on my channel is Medaka Box related. So maybe that's the reason why I just got a lot of Medaka comments. I don't know, but Medaka is number 1. She is obviously my number 1 pick for Jump Force Season 2. I would love to see her. We need more female characters. I mean, what, we have now 5 with Biscuit and Galena? Yeah, that's, I mean, I guess if you want to bounce Sanji, that's fine, but I feel as though having a main character like Medaka, that's a female character, you should include the main character, like, because, I mean, yes, we have Emma from Promised Neverland, but Promised Neverland isn't a fighting series. So, I mean, and I could see how they could include Emma in the future, in a future fighting game, because I think they could actually make it work. But in terms of strictly a fighting series, Medaka Box is pretty alone in that sense. We do have Yami from To Love Ru Darkness, but To Love Ru Darkness isn't even from Weekly Shonen Jump. So, in this sense, I feel as though Medaka probably makes the most sense in terms of right now, in terms of, like, I wouldn't say popular, because it's like, I would say Medaka Box is still pretty niche. But in terms of a strong female protagonist in a Weekly Shonen Jump series, Medaka is pretty much that, that image for a fighting anime series. So I would love to see Medaka, obviously. I think that goes without saying. And I would love to see how they would implement her, where they would take her from. I feel as though they would probably just take her from the end of Abnormal, although I'd love to see them take her from the end of the manga, because she gets a lot more stuff, she gets more transformations, but it would just basically have to be a wait and see. Also, I did get a comment from Here's Johnny. This is the one comment I'm going to include because this is a little bit a different comment that wasn't mentioned in any of the other comments, and it was, I didn't ask for this, so I wasn't expecting this, but it was stages that he wanted, and he wanted a stage from either Promised Neverland or Dr. Stone. So I did quickly want to mention that because that is something that one of the commenters wanted, and he is also one of the first subscribers on this channel, so I did want to mention him. Now, you do know 4 of the 5 characters that I wanted to be in Jump Force Season 2, which are Medaka, Suna, Gintoki, and Alan from D. Greyman. But the last character did not make it into the top 11 on this list, and that character is Nero from Majin Tantei no Gaminero. Now, I would love to see him make it in, but I'm not going to really go too much into it. But I really love the series, and I would like to see him represented, although I don't think it's going to happen. I think if they're going to choose a character from that author, they would probably choose Karo-sensei from Assassination Classroom. It's by the same author, and that sold better than Majin Tantei no Gaminero. So I wouldn't be shocked if we got Karo-sensei over Nero, but we'll see what happens. Let me know what you thought about these results in the comment section down below. As I said at the beginning of this video, sorry about not including all of the comments like I usually do, like reading them off and stuff. It just would not be feasible. This video is already really long for the type of video that it is, and it just would be like hours long if I did it the normal format, so sorry about that. But with that said, hopefully we get an announcement on who's going to be in Season 2 soon, and when we do, you can be sure that I will keep you all updated on my channel. That said, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.